Swamp Things, a podcast revisiting legendary runs.
Why is it, with all that modern man has achieved in the way of so-called civilization, do we find his philosophies and art forms darkened by the twin undercurrents of nihilism and fatalism as we approach the twilight of the 20th century? Is it because when the unexpected happens and we find ourselves hemmed in by runaway events, we retreat to the precious social theories upon which we've built our world, only to have them explode in our faces? Or is it because, like Neanderthal man hidden in his cave, we still project our fears upon anything that we fail to understand, effectively isolating ourselves within outmoded belief systems as we cry out in terror to our modern totems? Too often, the call is answered by a new breed of being, superpowered or not, who has chosen to soar above the confines of humanity, flaunting his or her superiority, even in the act of protecting us. We cheer wildly as the great hero flies off to engage the enemy, resplendent in his gaudy costume, leaving us happily ignorant of the fact that we have thus barred ourselves from participation in the true conflicts of modern life, imprisoned within our own inferior status on the scale of evolution, confronted with an endless stream of examples of our own worthlessness. Is it any wonder that modern man has grown lazy and despondent? Is it any wonder that the immoral art forms and stagnant philosophies of today's bewildered humanity all ring with the same hollow lament? Dear God, why have you forsaken us?
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Swamp Things, a podcast which explores classic Swamp Thing runs from beginning to end. This season, we're retracing Rick Veitch's run following Alan Moore. I'm Robert Reinecke. I read these books during their initial run. Which brings me to our guest and reader for this episode, Rob Veatch. No relation to Rick. Rob is going to help me through the opening stretch of Rick Veitch's run. So welcome back, Rob.
All right, thank you, Robert. Happy to be here. Good to talk to you again. And no clear relation to Rick. Although, we actually did just the other night. My wife pulled out. We have a collection of books on the Veatch family tree, the whole lineage, and I think she found him in there. But it was too complicated to try to trace the lines or anything. But we're both in there.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
You're not part of the Vermont branch, though.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listeners will know that the opening reading from Swamp Thing number 66 was read by Rob. And before we get started, a little background on what came before. Swamp Thing has returned from its space odyssey and retired from the affairs of man to the swamp with Abby. But retirement hasn't proven easy, as the Parliament of Trees has sprouted the next incarnation of Plant Elemental, and that pesky John Constantine is hanging around. Swamp Thing has mostly patched things up with Abby after a poor choice of words, but, more work remains. And that brings us to Swamp Thing number 66, entitled One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, with a cover date of November 1987. The Grand Comics database lists a publication date of July 28, 1987, which coincidentally is the same date listed for Watchmen number 12. Rick Veitch did the cover. The cover depicts Jason Woodrue standing with Swamp Thing in the form of a staff and a platter with one of Swamp Thing's tubers on it. Thoughts on the cover?
It seems like it strikes a little more comedic tone than most Swamp Thing issues. Just with the expression on Woodrue's face there, kind of, yeah, like he doesn't know what to make of this. He also looks like he's just being served something that he has no interest in, which is kind of in contrast to his reaction within the issue.
Yes.
But we'll get there.
Yeah, I know that I noticed in the coloring they kind of have a halo around Swamp Thing's head, which,
Yeah.
maybe Rick was laying the groundwork for the Swamp Thing meets Jesus issue way back then.
That's upcoming.
Yes, finally.
Ooh, all right.
So, I mean, I like the cover too. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest, but it is a straightforward composition. It shows off Rick Veitch's uh, line work very well, and yeah, I think it's solid. Not the most memorable, but it is. I can point to that one and I go, yeah, I recognize the Rick Veitch cover.
Yeah. I like the the signatures being sent into the little Swamp Thing staff
Mm,
there.
yeah, yeah, they are there. Veitch and Yates.
Yeah.
So Thomas Yates clearly did the inking on that one.
Mm, yeah. I
Hard to see,
think
but I
I
like it when they would play around with that stuff.
yeah.
So at that we can move in to the interiors. Just give the credits first, then we can start. Script is by Rick Veitch. Pencils are by Rick Veitch. Inks are by Alfredo Alcala. It's edited by Karen Berger. The colors are by Tatjana Wood, and the letters are by John Costanza. So, the issue opens up with, Batman in his year one glory in a glider answering a call on the bat signal as viewed from a cell in Arkham. See an explosion and a signal in the background. I mean, this is all played against the reading one, which would be the uh, work by Robert Huntoon of his Powell psychology book, which is about what you would expect, I think.
Yeah.
But it's so. I mean, year one ended in January 20th, 1987. So I mean, this is about a little bit of 6 months later. I mean, I
Yeah.
will say I want to read the story.
Yeah. Oh, the
Right off in the background, it's like
yeah. Yeah,
Gotham,
that
Batman.
panel of Batman on the glider
Yeah,
instantly was is reminiscent of I think it's like a big splash page in probably year one, number three or something. Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. But Rick Veitch took it and said, "Yeah, I'm going to use that too," and I say I applaud him for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah,
glider design,
getting
I
it
think.
all revved up, and the the text is the ironic counterpoint to it. So I
Mm.
like all of that, but it's it's fun.
Yeah. First reading all that and when it gets to the credit on like page two there, I kind of like, is that a real book? And then, we meet the character later on.
Yes.
But and the
I mean,
title the
it,
title makes me think of Grant Morrison's book, Super Gods, I
yeah.
guess. So I was kind of like, is this something like, was there a similar, book published in the 80s? But no, it's
Um,
in canon thing.
I mean, I think of the many lives of Batman. I don't know if you've read that one.
Ooh,
That
I
was like
haven't.
89, 90. And basically a collection of essays on Batman with some psychology ones and some on just like uh paper that was like studying audience reaction to the film minute by minute.
Yeah.
But that would be, in the future.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, a
So
couple years.
yeah,
It's
we're still
89.
before they haven't even started shooting it. We haven't even gotten to the Michael Keaton controversy yet.
Yeah.
That's like a year away from that even. We're in the post Frank Miller you know, just at the start of post crisis era when they're still trying to figure out what this all means for Batman.
Right. Just yeah, just kind of with his personality and methodology in the issues.
I
Yeah.
mean, they know Rick Veitch knows that there's going to be an effect from Frank Miller.
Yeah.
It hasn't quite fully taken off yet, but this is very much Frank Miller's Batman,
Yeah.
at least visually, and I think to an extent when we get to it, personality wise.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean the contrast in the books themselves, I think Jim Starlin hadn't quite started up yet, and Mike Barr was still going, but this is just prior to Norm Breyfogle and post uh, year two, so we're post um, Todd McFarlane and Alan Davis. So
Cool.
this is kind
Yeah.
of an unsettled period for Batman.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, I didn't realize that year two had followed so closely after year one, actually.
Yeah, they
Like if
they
it,
were not waiting around.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean that was yeah, I'd have to look up the issues that it fell in. It was not yeah, I would thought they would have had more time, but maybe the thought was we get Batman established year
Yeah.
year two. He's in like year 10 maybe.
Uh,
So we'd at least establish what Batman would be going forward with the idea. So,
yeah.
what is Batman's history post-crisis? And instead of doing an origin story, they did year one and year two. We're not starting from scratch, but we are starting that. And I kind of feel like both year one and year two, kind of these self-contained stories set in the past, were kind of the precursors for Legends of the Dark Knight too.
For Legends of the Dark Knight, the like anthology series.
Yep.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point because those did usually take place like earlier in his career.
Yeah, those were
But
early Batman.
nice. Yeah.
So this is kind of the starting point of that, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that if somebody had access and could write a history about that time, there'd be a lot of debates about what was going on there. Unfortunately, Denny O'Neil's not with us anymore, but
Yeah.
that I'm sure there's people that you could ask, and there'd be some interesting stories about what was going on and them trying to figure things out. Other than they knew that after Frank Miller and after Crisis, we have to do something.
Yeah.
Which brings us over to, as you said, we just see Woodrow chilling in his cell for a minute there.
Uh-huh.
I guess he's looking in the same direction, though. He's certainly not reacting to Batman. Although I do kind of feel we get the satirical tone from Rick Veitch, where Woodrow just remarks that look, the humans are having a cookout.
Okay. Yeah. Why wasn't Woodrow invited?
Well, besides him being crazy as that might have to do with it. But I mean, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is clearly reference to the novel and movie, the novel by Ken Kesey. I haven't read, but I know it was very popular way back in 1962. So kind of like one of the first counterculture novels.
Okay.
Although I
I,
don't know if Milos Forman's uh, movie is counterculture as much as it's just a showcase for Jack Nicholson,
yeah.
who certainly was part of the counterculture in his own way in the 60s.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I'm have a general cultural awareness, but I've actually never seen the movie, let alone read the book.
The movie is good. I have not read the book either.
Yeah.
It won Best Picture in a year with Jaws and Barry
Ooh, that's
Lyndon.
right.
Um, was it Network that year? I think Network was the year after, but I think it was um, well, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Just Jaws, Barry Lyndon. The year after Chinatown, I think. So
Okay.
I'd have to look it up. It was quite a stacked deck that year.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
but very popular. Still popular. This is a little over a decade later. So
Mhm.
that was all over cable at this point.
Oh,
But
yeah, okay.
yeah, that was like the second biggest hit of the year, I believe, when it came out. Um, After Jaws.
Yeah.
So it was a huge hit. Just got a huge hit compared to Jaws, but nothing
Mhm.
was.
Yeah.
And I like the look of Arkham here. It's about how I imagine Arkham to be. Dark, dank,
Uh-huh.
hard floored, not very hospitable.
Yeah.
Not up on modern rehabilitation techniques.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
it's,
that wall just a mess of shadows just cross-hatching all different directions.
yeah. It's Hannibal Lecter's cell before Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Not quite the dungeon. It has a view, which Lecter did not have, but it is pretty much the same idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that door means business right there. That's
Yes, it
really
does.
really bolted securely.
Well, both is securely, except for if you have an American Express card like John Constantine.
Yeah. Looks secure, but that was pretty easy. Yeah. Credit card. Maybe he's got a screwdriver or something in the other hand there, but not too tough.
Not for him.
Yeah.
I mean, they waste no time with Constantine showing up.
Yeah.
Turn the page, and there he is.
Gets right in there. Yeah.
So he wasted no time either. He's down to business as well, which is I expect a Constantine. You know, Swamp Thing is maybe a little slow to react sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Constantine is certainly has a sense of agency about him,
Yeah.
even when it usually gets him into more trouble than he's expecting. But still, and in contrast to your comment on the cover, Constantine pulls out a tuber of Swamp Thing, and we see Woodrow's reaction right away too.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a bit of an addict reaction there.
Which I think
Yeah.
he was looking forward to.
Mm. So, help me out, I because I either haven't read much of Floronic Man's history or just don't remember. But
There's no reason to read any of it before Alan Moore.
okay, okay. Good to know. But he's I take it he's like ingested the body of Swamp Thing before.
Yeah, he did that way back in issue 22, I think,
Okay.
maybe 23. So,
Oh, so like right towards the beginning of Moore's run?
yep, right at the beginning, he kind of, he had the Swamp Thing, the plant who thinks he's the man, and Woodrow is the man who thinks he's the plant.
Okay.
So, Woodrow was part of the first arc and part of the anatomy lesson.
Hmm.
So the first arc was quite a bit about the conflict between the two and the
Okay.
contrast between.
Okay.
Which but let's just say that he ended up in Arkham after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to take over the Green, and the Green rejected him, and he's been, you know, bug nuts insane since.
And now, him being in Arkham, did some of those events take place in Gotham, or is Arkham just kind of like the nation or the regions like leading, you know,
Dumping ground?
yeah, dumping ground for the criminally insane?
Yeah, I think that's what they said.
Okay.
They just dumped him there. It took place in Louisiana and Washington, which is not Gotham.
No.
Washington, D.C., just to be
Right.
pedantic.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Gotham's like somewhere near Washington, kind of ambiguously,
East Coast.
right?
I say East Coast.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mary.
it's interesting how DC plays, just like loosely ambiguously with their fictional cities, which are, in large part like corollaries. Like,
Yeah.
Gotham represents New York in a lot of ways, but then,
Yeah.
every now and
Metropolis
then
does too.
it's just brought up that, yeah, New York is also a city that also
Yeah.
exists.
From what I can tell on maps, they kind of put Gotham in New Jersey.
Yeah,
Um, that does not like it's set in stone there either.
yeah.
Metropolis is kind of like in Delaware, maybe,
Okay.
but it's like sure, okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Not intended to think about it too much.
well, just
Geography's
you know,
loose.
you know, uh, Lovecraft had Arkham in which represents Salem, Massachusetts, so that's kind of the same.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
There's plenty of fictional little villages and cities that Lovecraft came up with, and they said, "Yeah, we're just gonna keep that idea going. It's a very pulp idea,
Yeah,
but we can do whatever we want to with our cities or villages without having to keep up with current events and what's actually going on there."
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, Swamp Thing or Constantine wants information from Woodrue, and that's where we kind of leave it off when we go back to Swamp Thing and Abby. Kind of picking up where they left off in issue 65, although they had kind of makeup in the annual, but it's kind of like you don't have to read the annual to pick it up.
right. Yeah, I did read that one before we got here, and yeah, their part of the storyline is, it's basically like an extended conversation that plays out here and there throughout those 40 pages, but like,
Yeah. And most of that
yeah,
conversation with Abby with herself, actually.
right.
Well, we kind of switch back over to Swamp Thing's point of view here. Um, and, Swamp Thing makes the decision to try to show Abby how he experiences the world. Now he's kind of, less rooted to the earth and more of a spirit that can roam. Though I do like the transition at the page 5 there, where the where Swamp Thing kind of enters Abby and the panels kind of tilt sideways, set around her eye. I think that's a very
Right.
nice panel. Um, I mean, it works very easily because the eye's circular, so if you cut a slice through it on an angle, it's still the eye. Still,
Yeah, you can still see what you're looking at.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that, how those three panels just kind of tilt off, like almost like it's turning the page for you at the end there.
Yeah. And then it gets wildly metaphysical.
Yeah.
I mean, we see the inside of Abby's body with like the spirit of Swamp Thing kind of floating through it. I don't know how to describe it other than this Rick Veitch being psychedelic.
Yeah. I didn't even notice on the first read through that you could kind of make out like a Swamp Thing face in that little
Yes.
that little blob that's going through these panels.
You can
Yeah.
only for the yeah first like three or four, and then it kind of spits out this kind of uh s- spirit symbols, I guess you would call it. I mean, he
Hmm.
used them previously in well during
I think
the
the last issue,
space
right?
run, but yeah, this is. I mean, I feel that Rick must have some templates or something to make these so he doesn't have to repeat all these geometric patterns.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
those I mean those look like little, kind of computer graphics. Little
yeah, they were not doing that at this time, I can tell you.
mhm. But yeah, what is like a they're each kind of little like fractal geometry
Yeah,
images. Yeah.
yeah, for Swamp Thing. Although Abby's kind of a more um, what am I gonna say, symbolic or abstract? Abstract, I think, is the word I'm searching for.
Uh-huh.
Until they interact, and Swamp Thing releases Abby's spirit, and we do see Abby's spirit. It is very clearly Abby.
Yeah. It's got her hair.
Got her hair. I mean, I feel like I don't. Rick Veitch certainly does like this metaphysical stuff. I don't know if you probably never read his Rarebit Fiends, which is basically a dream diary he made a comic out of,
Oh,
but
okay. No, I
but,
have not.
but it's basically this kind of abstract stuff. Page after page of this. It's kind of like Little Nemo in Slumberland, but Rick Veitch's dreams.
Oh wow. Probably more upsetting than Silverland.
Yes, but it's kind of dream logic or non-logic as you may talk about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you kind of see probably some of the roots of that book in here. That was his little independent book that he did for several years in the '90s.
Hmm.
I think but as you can imagine, the sales weren't great on
Yeah.
it.
Do you know who published that?
I think that was self-published,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
but that would have been, or it might have been like Kitchen Sink, something like that. But been a long time. Rarebit Fiends. Maybe I'll just type it in there and see what comes up here.
Oh, could have done that too. Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of wondering because, there were a few independent publishers it could have been at that, like it could have been Dark Horse, or I was thinking like if it was part of Kevin Eastman's Tundra Publishing,
Could have been that.
which I think was
I mean,
pretty
could have been
pretty
part of,
short-lived.
yeah, could have been something Dave Sim would have done on the side.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find any more information on it. Uh, Dream of the Rabbit Fiend was by Winsor McKay. For
Oh,
the
so there
it's
is like a direct
adult
callback
orphan.
to Little
Yeah,
Nemo. Right, Winsor McKay is he Little Nemo? I mean, did he do
yeah,
Little Nemo?
he did Little Nemo.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So that was that, but I'm not sure where. I don't have a very good reference to that. I have a bunch of Amazon links to it. I should have done this research. I can do that next month.
Yeah, we could yeah. It's hey, something for the listeners to check out.
But it's on Amazon. There's a paperback on it. I guess uh Rick is still doing that. The one I see now is by Sun Comics, but I think that's it, self-published by
Hmm.
Rick. SUN Comics is what for 26, issue number 26, which I think just came out like this year.
Uh-huh.
So,
Oh, wow.
Rick is maybe retired, quote unquote, but Rick is still working and doing things on his own time as he seems fit to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's a so there's probably about 2 years worth of Roaring Rick's Rarebit fiends out there. Um,
yeah.
but
Huh.
I don't know publisher. I could go through the boxes, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting back to Arkham as we start to meet some more of the cast of the characters, including Dr. Huntoon, as he's looking over the patients of Arkham very disapprovingly.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's some of these ideas here. I mean, I do like the commentary on the Joker. I think the comment that that dude finds AIDS hilarious is right spot on.
Right. Which I remember being one of the things that Heath Ledger wrote in his journal. One of the
Ah,
things I read about when he like he holed up in a hotel room for like a month to just hash out his idea of the character, and he wrote down things Joker would find funny, and AIDS was on the list. Yeah,
well, he must have done his reading.
yeah, maybe.
I don't think he read this, but you never
Yeah,
know. It's quite possible that Heath Ledger may have read Swamp Thing on his own
yeah,
in preparation and just kind of stuck.
yeah.
But I don't know if Heath Ledger was a comic fan or not. Who knows?
Right. Yeah,
I will say the Clayface one is basically a direct reference to an Alan Moore story that was in, I believe, Annual 11. Um,
yeah. Good for him. Like I never thought they had conjugal visits in Arkham Asylum, but that's what it looks like is going on. So,
well, to be fair, that's a mannequin, not an actual living person.
okay, understandable.
I mean, I'm sure he'd like to have a conjugal visit.
Sure.
And I do like the comment on Two-Face having, different dream patterns on different sides of his head.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fun idea.
A fun idea.
Yeah, yeah. The visual on Two Face is like it's interesting how much it changed. Like he had that green face look, I think, for a long time, for a few decades before. I want to say, was it probably the animated series that kind of first changed that up?
Yeah, I think you're correct there.
Yeah. And I actually just
I've had
watched
it done forever too. Yeah.
I just watched Batman Forever last night. We had a friend come over and we've been showing her the Batman movies, which she's never watched. So gives me a good opportunity to go through them. So yeah, we just
We could
watched that
stop there.
last night. Yeah, but yeah, it seems like from like 90s and beyond, Harvey has always had dark hair. I mean, on his well, on, his Harvey side,
Yeah.
and then yeah, something other than green typically for his scarred side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they've definitely changed it. And I feel like, that Tim Burton never actually did Two-Face, but I feel those people that like to draw him with white hair are certainly kind of thinking, yeah, this is what Tim Burton would have done.
yeah, yeah,
And then we get to Dr. Huntoon spotting Constantine and Woodrow in the cell. And that image could look very wrong, I guess.
right. Particularly with the dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just the image itself almost looks like he's like choking him or forcing something on
Yes.
the Floronic man there, but no, he's loving it.
Yeah, it could be taken out of context wrong, but the context is there. So
Yeah.
did not have to go through the CCA. So Rick could do whatever he wanted basically within reason.
Yeah, yeah. There were a couple moments where flipped back to the cover to see, oh yeah, they've got the suggested for mature readers tag on here.
Yeah, I mean I don't know if Vertigo had that one regularly. I think it did. So we're kind of in between.
Hmm.
We're past the CCA and the newsstand distribution. We're not to Vertigo yet, but we're in that kind of in between time.
Yeah.
Same with Hellblazer, which I don't believe it's launched yet, but it's going to launch soon.
Well, I wonder because this collection I have actually has two issues of Hellblazer up front.
Yeah, it does. But I believe that
Oh,
there's
let's
a
see.
cover here.
Oh,
They have like a 5-page
co-
preview of coming up to
uh-huh.
issue 1 of Hellblazer. So
Yeah. Well, and actually, I'm looking at those covers, and the first one has a cover date of April '88.
ah,
So, yeah.
and that's like what issue 5 or 6, something like that.
Four.
4. So
Yeah.
it's like January '88. It probably launched,
Uh-huh.
which makes sense. It's still a couple. I mean, it's close enough that it's not like it's showing how it fits in,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like uh it's actual continuity here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just going by those cover dates, it jumps back a few months to Swamp Thing 65
Yeah.
after those two.
Now that makes sense to me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they intended it that way, but publishing schedules and that,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure they wanted to get like a couple of issues of just John Constantine Hellblazer in before jumping back to Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Establish him as a character on his own right.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Not
makes sense putting them in
not
a
as a
collection like this
yeah.
rather than just dropping in a couple somewhat unrelated stories in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably that we're gonna do a Hellblazer book but but it's gonna start off with just being a Hellblazer book.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean I have my issues somewhere,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I ever had in mind of piecing how did Constantine get to London to Louisiana and back. Things just happen.
Hmm.
I was not that concerned about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that kind of brings us to our second reading, um, which is concurrent with Abby kind of taking off through her astral form to explore the world. So, second reading will be go right here.
Pretend for a moment that you possess the power of flight, for it's only from the perspective of the superhuman that one can truly gauge the wretched lot that is man's, with his monuments to power and greed towering over a rotting infrastructure of misery and cynicism, where self-loathing skulks behind barred windows and foot-thick walls, and freeways of cruelty cut concrete swaths of blighted hope through ancient, decaying neighborhoods, rotten with disease and phobias, where good and evil don ceremonial masks to dance a violent, stylized ballet of mystical proportions round the burning, belching crucibles of the human soul.
And yeah, that's more of the ironic counterpoint of Dr. Huntoon's view on humanity and superheroes versus, Abby flying off, um, free of all constraints, and, Batman battling somebody atop a flaming dome Gotham building.
Yeah.
Again, I want to read this story, and we'll find out who that shadowy figure is. I feel that Rick Veitch is doing a good job of hiding that one on purpose.
Yeah.
We'll for later, but
Yeah, I kind of wonder if this scene ties directly into, the scene later in this issue. But yeah, it's not totally clear.
it is not. I believe it does tie in directly.
Yeah.
The battle will carry on.
Yeah.
Where are
And
but
I kind of wonder in this scene, like, it's like Abby's flying over Gotham City. She doesn't seem to take notice of like the battle going on or the building aflame.
no, she does not. But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be either if I had with this trio all or if they could straight fly everywhere. And you know what? She flies to heaven in this very page. So
Yeah.
maybe that's much better than Gotham. Anyhow.
It looks like it. It looks nicer, a little cleaner.
Yeah, and I don't. As I recall, Abby's last experience in Gotham wasn't very nice. Anyhow,
No, not at all.
we never had a nice experience in Gotham going back to the Ween Wrightson run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she and Matt were captured, and they're about to be like get an electroshock for their secrets or whatever they held
Yeah.
before rescued at the last minute by Swamp Thing. And then she never encountered Batman in that one, but Swamp Thing encountered Batman in that one, drawn by Bernie Wrightson at the height of his powers. So
Cool.
it's cool. But then we have an erotic thing where Abby's spirit ends up in heaven and runs into surprisingly Alec Holland and Linda Holland, which is a turn of events I did not expect at the beginning of this issue.
Yeah, it's interesting how they play with the kind of bifurcation of Alec. Like here's his spirit, and then while he is our main character, but really he's this kind of new iteration.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Alec in heaven is the template,
Yeah.
but he's grown beyond that in ways. But
Right.
they're still part of each other, I guess. Or well, Alec is part of Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is not necessarily part of Alec,
Yeah.
as we see here. And I feel like this is we've never really get much of Linda in any of the incarnations. Heck, Linda isn't even in the Wes Craven movie or the Swamp Thing TV series. She's the kind of
Oh.
character that gets forgotten in adaptations. Or
Oh, so she just like Alec was just a single man in those.
yep,
Okay, okay. I've seen both of those, but it's been a long time.
yeah, I think Linda became his sister in the Wes Craven one.
Okay.
Maybe so it wouldn't be so weird when Swamp Thing and the Abby equivalent kind of become attracted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it feels less creepy that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a time situation there where
Yeah. You don't go. She just died.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
More of the first, and then worry about hitting on it.
Yeah.
But it's they kind of establishes more of a DC's supernatural universe here, and reincarnation is part of it apparently.
Yeah. That's an interesting little twist there.
Yeah,
That Linda's going off to inhabit her new body on Earth, and Alec is I'm just gonna hang here for the time being.
well, I mean, he died in flames the last time, so I don't necessarily blame him.
Yeah, it's understandable. I wouldn't want to go back either. Wait, there's far fewer flames up here.
Yes, it's a very pleasant place.
Yeah.
Full of love. which kind of is the natural thing. When let's go to another awful place. It's kind of like hell in Arkham.
Yeah.
We get back to Constantine and Woodrow, and Woodrow is starting to feed Constantine information, but too late. They're kind of interrupted by uh, Dr. Huntoon and the Arkham guards, who are spray Woodrow with some sort of defoliant, I think. Probably
Yeah.
Agent Orange. Leftover Agent Orange sounds like about what Arkham.
Yeah. Paraquat is what the one of the agents calls it.
Yeah. It's an herbicide.
Yeah.
That does not seem very humane.
Nah. I mean, FDA hasn't gotten around to to this yet.
Arkham
FDA?
probably accepts from
Who?
all EPA rules.
Yeah.
But apparently, Dr. Huntoon and John Constantine have a relationship.
Yeah.
Although I think you can judge from his nickname of Piggy that probably was not the most healthy, friendly relationship.
Nope.
No,
Nope. Bad blood there.
you know, put him in a straitjacket and not being gentle about it. I think that tells you what you need to know. Very, very succinct there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And grudges are being borne out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, Huntoon seems to be not the most ethical doctor here,
No, he does not.
but also just anyone with a history with Constantine that seems to. It's usually not a good history. Nobody's
Either
too
that
fond
or
of
they
him.
have a grudge, apparently.
Yeah.
Though he generally does not have a difficulty getting a new girlfriend.
No.
No.
He's got the charm.
And I feel like it's yeah, we'll see more of that charm or lack of charm, depending on how you do it. Sometimes it's that and the charm can be charming.
Yeah.
Then I guess they have to Veatch has to check in on a swamp thing in Abby's body.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he essentially organized kind of a switch.
Yeah, essentially. I
Yeah.
mean, not perfect, but it's there, and I feel like this is a very nice page of Abby walking in the swamp. I don't think of Rick Veitch necessarily as being a sexy artist, but I think he's a sexy artist here.
Yeah.
With the cut off Daisy Dukes and that well, I guess it's a halter top and kind of slipping and
Yeah. I noticed he's got that one strap like slipped over the shoulder
yes.
throughout a lot of this issue.
I guess Swamp Thing's not too concerned about it, but
Uh,
sampling a berry. So it's kind of I feel like pleasure of the flesh are at least being explored here. But
right, which is something Swamp Thing hasn't been able to experience for a long time.
yeah, not to this extent, not with these feelings.
Right.
At least until he remembers that she has access to the afterlife too, and there are dangers out there, which is a nice segue to get back to. Well, I guess it starts at heaven at the edge of hell. And
Yeah.
the Sunderland henchman from issue 64, uh, Loose Ends Redex.
Yeah.
We find out what happened. I never expected to see these guys again, but
No.
we get a little bit of dark humor as they go from complaining about Sunderland to being excited about reunited with him because they figure he's running things to
Oh.
put in their place.
Yeah.
There's some dark humor here.
Yeah.
I can't say I feel sorry for them.
No. Yeah. They they've earned it.
Yeah, they have. I do like the little kind of philosophical conversation that maybe they feel they earned it themselves about what the nature of hell is.
Right.
That feels like that's a idea from well, maybe more, but certainly Veatch is expanding it and putting his own spin on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody really feels like they deserve that though.
No.
You'd think they'd be full of justification.
Yeah.
But that lasts for a page, and that kind of a dark humor interlude before we get back to the slopes of heaven and Alec and Abby, and there's certainly an attraction between Alec and Abby here.
Yeah. I like the how
Weird,
the
but
geography is presented with heaven just being kind of a serene hillside overlooking like the valley of
yes,
hell.
yeah,
Like it's kind of just right there, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, just right there in the
we're safe.
background
Yeah.
until they're rudely interrupted by the elemental sprout. I don't know if it's rudely,
Yeah.
playfully. They're
Uh-huh.
interrupted. Yeah, the elemental sprout looks happy and pretty much immediately bonds with Abby.
Yeah. Yeah, they have this
Kind of
little
steps her back up. The main story of what's going on reminds her, yeah, you better get back to that.
yeah.
And I feel that the two of them, the Sprout and Abby, you know, forming an instant bond is well. I know where things are going, but I feel that is kind of some foreshadowing on uh uh Reach's part, but I would have no idea where to predict where the story was going though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, having not read the future issues, I'd say it's pretty subtle here. They just,
Mhm.
yeah, they kind of share a little moment, Abby and the sprite in the middle of the page there, and then she's just kind of reminded that, like, yeah, yeah, as you said, like, it just serves to remind her, like, oh, I do have things to get back to. I do have my other Alec.
I do like how Alec refers to himself and the Swamp Thing Alec as two peas in a pod.
Yeah,
I think that's a nice little pun.
yeah, a little plant pun.
But she astrally flies off, and then we're back to Arkham and Huntoon and Constantine, and I think this is a fun, Constantine. If you really want to immobile or neutralize Constantine, I think a gag is better than a straitjacket.
Yeah, yeah, you got to take away his most dangerous asset.
His mouth does the work.
Yeah,
But I feel like Dr. Huntoon and bragging about how he's come up in the world and kind of a minor celebrity and how he kind of uh, superior to Constantine now and how he likes it. And Constantine kind of baiting him, I think, laying the trap so that he can you know twist the knife on him.
yeah,
And I think this is a fun set of pages from Rick Veitch too. And I feel like Constantine probably has never looked better, handsomer.
uh-huh.
Certainly, very much like Sting in these two pages.
I had the same thought, particularly in that last panel
With him just
on
smiling,
17. Yeah. Yeah, and
it's,
so much so that I kind of look back over the other panels in this page and I bet he used some photographic references for several of these shots of Constantine.
He could have,
Yeah.
but I think these are really fun, and that that devilish self-satisfied look, that is Constantine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also kind of implies that Constantine has a history with the women of the DC universe, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
He has his charms. Though I feel that like Zatanna is the one that's kind of stuck.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
at this point, it was just kind of, well, I guess it was more than hinted at, but that's the one that they keep coming back to. But then
Yeah.
to uh, keep the story rolling, Batman and Croc bust in.
They sure do. Right. Just right through that window. Yeah.
Yeah, going, we're back to that, and I'm happy to see it.
Yeah.
Though I feel that it's certainly a Frank Miller Batman here. Very Dark Knight Returns, where he kind of nerve gases him, Croc.
Uh-huh.
That seems extreme even for Frank Miller Batman.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess I assume like, oh, that's a temporary thing, but I suppose I'm just bringing my knowledge of Batman and his usual methods into that.
Yeah, I mean, I expect this kid is a recurring villain that you probably don't want to make it permanent, but still.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
fairly brutal fight, though, even as short as it is.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
is
blood
I
blood
feel like,
pouring down Batman's face
yeah.
at the end there.
Well, he crashes uh Croc's head through a table, and gets hit with a filing cabinet.
Yeah.
This is not your father's Batman at this point.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of looking at the way he's drawn and colored and the connection to year one. He looks very year one in those far out panels at the
Yeah,
beginning of the issue. To me, he actually looks a lot like Brian Bland's Batman
yeah,
from Killing Joke
it could be.
in
I
here, which I mean, I believe that came later, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
came later. They probably had pages floating around by this point, though.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
still, yes, it came later. I would say that you could definitely see the Joe Kubert influence on Rick Veitch in these panels,
Yeah.
especially the one where he's kind of looking away, or if we see Batman from the back,
Uh-huh.
and you kind of see like some smoke at the bottom of the
Yeah, yeah.
that looks like it's like, yeah, that's how Joe Kubert would have drawn it. Although
Uh,
some of the other ones I feel not so much. Although it's certainly, I think you can tell that Rick Veitch went to the Joe Kubert school.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
feel like that Batman statements on where he stands on crime and punishment, and by putting him in a wheelchair, is certainly a very extreme version of Batman,
Right.
even by Frank Miller Dark Knight Return standards.
Yeah.
Although, I guess Frank Miller Batman really had no concern about what happens to whoever he beat up as long as he doesn't kill him.
Yeah, it's interesting the way he writes him in The Dark Knight Returns like that
Yeah.
because you can kind of read it as that's the image. I mean, that's certainly the image Batman
Mhm.
wants to project, but that maybe he's pulling his punches a little more than he's sort of giving the impression.
I feel like the absence of the inner monologue kind of we just get one extreme interpretation of it.
Yeah.
Although he the Batman of Dark Knight Returns is certainly uh, well, I might cripple him maybe. That's
Yeah.
okay. Fitting Baxter is kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, rubber bullets honest.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't hurt.
Yeah. I like that little wink as though he's talking directly to the audience
Yes,
with that line. Honest.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get the wink here, but I feel it's. But maybe we
Yeah.
get it by the end of this issue. Well, let's skip it ahead a little bit, but I feel like this is certainly a Dark Knight Returns influenced Batman, though.
Uh-huh.
And I'm happy to see it because this is that moment in time where we're still figuring it out, but it's in the mix.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would want this Batman going forward from it, but I still have fond memories of seeing it.
Yeah.
And I like Rick Veitch's Batman, or at least
Uh-huh.
I feel that Rick Veitch won't use a lot of Batman in this issue, or in his run as a whole, but I'm happy to see him show up.
Yeah.
Get his
Um,
take on it.
yeah.
Bissett and Toddlebin have done it, so why can't Rick Veitch have some fun?
Yeah.
But of
Yeah.
course, there's the you know say a few words and then exit through the window.
Yep. Just
Leaving-
just ghost his usual style. Never actually end a conversation.
No, I do like how Rick Veitch moves the quote unquote camera. I'll just say frame, and we see the outside of Arkham. Yep, that looks like
Yeah.
Arkham.
Yep.
Gray, dark, uh, weathered.
Yeah.
Uh, has that gothic imagery.
Uh-huh. Big pit bull kind of looking gargoyle right above the window.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
Medusa maybe or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Maybe Greek muses or
Yeah.
Greek style images framing the window.
Yeah.
I will say this: Gotham has good architecture.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to live with good architecture.
Yeah.
And of course, we've forgotten all about Constantine in 2 pages, haven't we?
Yeah. There was yeah, I mean there was a lot going on there. A lot to pull the focus from
Lot to
him.
pull the focus. And
Yeah.
Constantine is gone. Straight Jacket left. Videotape of Woodrue is gone. All between panels while
Oh.
Batman is
Okay.
is dealing with Croc,
Yeah.
and I think that's a bit of fun. So I'm
Well, you had
happy.
to do some work. I see what, six open locks
Yes.
littered around that that straight jacket there.
Yep. 6 of them. Doing Batman and Mr. Miracle proud.
Yeah.
Or maybe he had a spell of opening. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I feel that's part of the mystique of Constantine. Who knows?
Yeah. He's got he's got lots of methods.
And the most dangerous method of all is what he comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And then we get back to Swamp Thing Abby turning into Abby. And I feel like you get the panel kind of tilting sideways again of the eye. I think that's a nice
Yeah.
uh, I think it's a real clever layout by
Yeah, you're right.
brings them back home and back together again, and they have their reunion, a reunion plus one because she brought back something with her.
Right.
Yeah, the Sprout, which is
Okay.
bonded with her, and they're trying to do that. We have to do something They're apparently the Sprouts' parents at this point,
Huh.
essentially.
Can we keep him? Yeah.
Or Pat, though.
Yeah.
Sprout is not going to stay, though. I do like, it kind of closed the little arc that Rick Veitch had set up between Alec and Abby. He's not going to have them fight during their whole run. But, a little conflict is a good choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're still in love, but that does not mean they do not have problems. And,
Yeah.
a human woman and a swamp creature, they're going to have problems.
Always. Yeah, there has to be something to keep that relationship running.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you deal with it and you move on, and they dealt with it and they move on. So we'll see what the next phase holds,
Yeah.
which will involve the Sprout at some point. But, it kind of gives Abby some agency in this storyline, too.
Uh-huh.
She feels some responsibility towards it. So she's going to try to guide the Sprout as much as Swamp Thing is. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good turn of events. It's not Swamp Thing doing something all by himself. It's Swamp Thing and Abby doing something together.
Right. She says it's like her playing mother hen at the end of the page there, which I
Hmm.
feel applies to both the sprite and to Swamp Thing.
Yes. Swamp Thing needs somebody to ground her.
Yeah.
And even if ground him, and if she did experience it, she still is the most grounded character in the book.
Right.
And that brings us to our final reading of Dr. Huntoon's article book, as well as, Woodrow back in Arkham and Batman. But we'll get to that after we get through with this reading. So let's start with this last reading.
The Adlerian psychologist would argue that man has victimized himself through his need for parental figures, thus his willingness to be kept like poultry in a pen by those more powerful than himself. While the Freudians, locked into their psychosexual theories, might blame man's alienation and self-imprisonment on bad toilet training or repressed Oedipal longings in the id. Jungians tend to cower under their own windows of thought, clinging to symbols of myth and archetype with a tenacity that borders on desperation. Personally, I see the need for a new approach, one that recognizes the servant-master relationship that is so evidently developing between the races of human and superhuman. History will certainly judge the coming decade before the 21st century, a dangerous rung on the ladder of civilization, as a bedlam of opposing forces vie to finally drag man down from his evolutionary perch. Soon, we will have little choice but to retreat to our caves, licking our wounded pride and nursing a growing dread of what our superhuman keepers might have in store for us come the millennium.
And I have to say, I like the transition from Woodrow to Batman to kind of wrap up the loose ends of this issue. And
Yeah.
I feel like this is the contrast to the Dark Knight Returns Batman because he needs uh, Alfred's help, and looks like he's quite beaten up getting on that ladder.
Right. Yeah, this is if he's very Dark Knight Returns in that fight with Croc, he's very year one here.
Yeah, maybe even less than year one here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty funny. I don't think I've ever seen Alfred pull up in a med van and have to pull out an extension ladder to help Batman out before. But but I
There's
like
definitely a satirical streak running through Rick Veitch's story.
yeah.
but But he pretty much had them even beyond Dark Knight Returns as far as uh, coldness and willingness to do whatever. And now he's kind of less than year one. So
Yeah,
definitely changed even in this story.
yeah. And I think the framing suggests, Woodrew's there looking out his window, but I imagine this is playing out like just out of his field of view,
Yeah,
just blocked off.
he's probably still watching Gotham burn, but
Yeah.
I do note that, the next upcoming event for DC was just about to start or just started, which is the Millennium event with Steve Englehart
Yeah.
and Joe Staten. So that was going on. So they kind of even in the last line there, they kind of even lay the groundwork for Millennium.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that event, but yeah,
it's not very good.
the
Yeah.
next issue in this collection I'm looking at says Millennium Week 6 up at the top.
Yeah, and that was February, so I guess that would have probably started in well, this one says November, and that one is February. So I think they put it here out of order, out of
Right,
publication order. So we have February,
right.
so it probably started in January.
Okay.
Well, issues dated January,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
so that's when it started. So week 6, so February, maybe even December. So sometime in the next 6 weeks after Swamp Thing.
Uh-huh.
But that's uh, what it would be. When it would be. So just about to start. And, this is a tie-in issue, apparently. A very subtle tie-in, more of a prelude. But, Englehart wanted to use the Floronic Man in that one, and he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good issues, tie-in issues to Millennium, and Millennium itself I don't think is very good.
Okay.
Basically,
Yeah.
the Manhunters are trying to stop the Guardians from creating like a new Guardians, leading mankind into their next bit of evolution,
Okay.
which is a solid enough idea, but how do you tell that in a story is always the rub.
Yeah. That's interesting. I always think of like big crossover events as something that kind of blew up in like the late 90s and continued
Yeah,
on from there, but no,
yeah,
I guess they came along earlier.
yeah. And, Swamp Thing, I guess, is tied up in this. Swamp Thing skipped Legends. Swamp Thing,
Yeah.
Big Crisis. He skipped Legends probably because he was off Earth, and then he's back
Mm,
to Millennium, and then Invasion will play a role in Swamp Thing. But
cool.
we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
That'll be like another year in the future. Next month is an issue entitled "The Wisdom of Solomon," which is feels like it's a tie-in issue, but maybe not in the way you expect, or maybe exactly the way you expect, depending on where your rig goes. It could be a Shazam tie-in, or it could be a different tie-in.
I was thinking Shazam, but yeah, because he's got those sort of attributes of all these mythical gods and demigods. But don't they connect to the letters of Shazam?
Yes, they do.
So the S, so it's not the
Yes,
W, it's the S for Solomon.
right, and the
Okay,
eight
got it.
Hercules and Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, I believe it is.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But we will see if that ties in or not. But any other final thoughts on this issue?
Um, Good stuff. Always fun to go back to Gotham. Always, I always enjoy Batman appearance. I'm
I do
sucker
too.
there. Yeah.
Definitely a good one.
Yeah. And yeah, just little kind of tidbit of like you know,
Mhm.
where this is going with the new swamp or the new what's the term we're using? The new elemental. Yeah.
elemental sprout.
Yeah.
One of those two, yeah.
Yeah. Swamp Thing's successor.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I really like this issue. I mean, there's a lot going on. Abby has something to do. Constantine has something to do.
Uh-huh.
Swamp Thing, not so much, but you get Batman, so hey,
Yeah.
bonus.
I'll take it.
I mean, he played an important role, and they kind of wrapped up a subplot, but they're moving the main plot forward, so that's good too.
Yeah.
And you go from heaven to hell to Gotham to Louisiana. That's
Yeah.
a good wide ranging story. Lots of
Yeah.
scope.
And even with Swamp Thing taking kind of a back seat, it seems like he's more involved in this issue than he was in that annual that came right
Yeah,
before
that's
this.
cool. Yeah, he was. I feel like the only reason he was involved in the annual, they wanted to do the ape story. They had to tie it in somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
more good stuff.
So we have things going on here, and we'll see where they lead next. Is they try to get the sprout to germinate.
Right on. Yeah.
I don't mention this enough, but this is uh, one time I should that I'm part of the uh, Batman Podcast Network. We don't
Yeah.
talk about Swamp Thing, Batman all the time here, but he does make appearances, so
Yeah.
I'm part of the Batman Podcast Network.
All right.
And I feel this is an interesting one to take a look at anyhow, just because it is a interesting interpretation of Batman post Frank Miller.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe it would not be the future, but it was certainly something that was in the air at the time.
Uh-huh.
In the meantime, you can subscribe to Swamp Thing on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can follow Swamp Thing on Twitter X at Swamp Things Pod. Please feel free to send an email to swampthings@gmail.com. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a review or rating on iTunes or share the episode. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon.
Much beauty in the swamp. If you only look.